Most of you have probably seen or heard stories in the news about people getting sick or even dying from vaping this past summer. You may have seen state governors and even the president saying they want to ban flavored e-cigarettes. You might live in a state where vaping has been banned. You might even think it should be banned. Regardless of what you've heard, there are a lot of things you may not know. Every single state in the United States makes money when people smoke cigarettes. This happens through a combination of tobacco taxes and payments each state gets from big tobacco companies under an agreement called the MSA, or Master Settlement Agreement. In 1998, the largest tobacco companies were sued by state attorneys general across this country because cigarettes were and still are killing their residents. In order to settle most of these lawsuits all at once, the tobacco companies agreed to, among other things, pay the states a percentage of their profits every year, forever, to compensate for the early death and disease that cigarettes cause. This means that the more money the tobacco companies make, the more money the states get. This money was intended to be used for anti-smoking campaigns and prevention programs, but it isn't. California, for example, spent just 9% of their 2019 money on tobacco prevention programs. States spend the majority of this money on things like shipping docks, golf courses, jails, and even tobacco farmers, none of which reduce smoking deaths. Some of the states decided they didn't want to wait for the yearly payments from the tobacco companies.
I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now.
So they sold bonds to Wall Street in order to get their money up front, like a payday loan. But this plan is backfiring for many of them. Some states borrowed too much and deferred interest payments to the point where the MSA money they mortgaged won't cover what they now owe. Declining cigarette sales are compounding the problem, even for the states that didn't overborrow. Since 1998, cigarette sales have declined by almost 50%, an unprecedented drop. As a result, states that sold bonds aren't getting the amount of MSA money they planned for, and they risk defaulting. States that got caught up in this include California, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Iowa, Alaska, Rhode Island, and West Virginia. Accordingly, smoking rates in the United States are the lowest they have ever been among adults and youth, according to the results from the 2018 National Survey on Drug Use and Health. This report notes that cigarette use generally declined between 2002 and 2018 across all age groups. Some of this decline may reflect the use of electronic vaporizing devices. The declines accelerate dramatically around the time that electronic cigarettes entered the market. Similar trends are reflected in other surveys. Since 2014, financial analysts have been saying that e-cigarettes pose a rising but underappreciated risk to tobacco cigarette sales and the tobacco bonds tied to the MSA payments. If electronic cigarettes are contributing to more people quitting smoking, thereby causing states to lose money and potentially default on tobacco bonds, that would make state and federal legislators easy targets to be convinced that vaping should be banned. Enter the public health advocacy groups who are whispering in their ears. Household names like the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Truth Initiative, American Cancer Society, American Lung Association, and others are viewed as trustworthy promoters of evidence-based policy, but they rely on funding from the government, private foundations, tobacco taxes, and the MSA. These health advocacy groups appear to be at the center of a complicated web of money and influence. These groups, often referred to as tobacco control groups, require funding to survive, like all nonprofits. But the key difference with tobacco control groups is they want to appear as unbiased health authorities, with only the public's health being their primary concern. In order to maintain that image, they are somewhat limited in what funding they can accept, so many of them wind up relying heavily on government funding. In order to secure that funding, they have to make themselves an invaluable asset to the government, and they do that by lobbying on behalf of the government, something the government itself cannot legally do. The government ends up endorsing and funding these tobacco control groups, and in turn, they work together to legally execute their shared political agendas. On the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids website, it reads, "The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids works to ensure that the CDC's life-saving tobacco control programs are fully funded by Congress." This symbiosis occurs both at the federal level with organizations like the Centers for Disease Control, as well as the state and local level. This is why you often see these groups at legislative hearings testifying in support of increased regulation, taxes, and bans on smoking and vaping. Two of the most vocal groups against vaping are the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and the Truth Initiative. The president of Tobacco-Free Kids, Matt Myers, was instrumental in negotiating the MSA, which gave the states billions of dollars in additional funding. The Truth Initiative was created with MSA funds and is seemingly beholden to Myers and follows his lead on strategy and messaging. Consider that for a minute. The guy who negotiated the MSA came out of it with an additional squeaky clean nonprofit that would support his own agenda, an agenda that centers around making sure the MSA money is spent on organizations like his. Tobacco-Free Kids states it does not accept government funding. However, the nonprofit was created by and runs on grants from a private foundation called the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. This foundation is run by individuals from the CDC and FDA, works closely with and funds projects for the CDC Foundation, as well as the Department of Health and Human Services. So while it's technically true that Tobacco-Free Kids does not accept government funding, the source of their funding is very cozy with the government. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation also supplies funding to the American Cancer Society and American Heart Association, who also fund tobacco-free kids, as well as the American Lung Association. These organizations team up together on projects that have included pressuring and suing the FDA for delaying e-cigarette regulatory deadlines and vilifying the vaping industry publicly. The weight of all of them together is often too persuasive for media outlets and legislators to bother questioning. Now that we understand the ties that bind all these organizations together, let's examine their reasons for trying to unravel the vaping industry. Tobacco control groups promote prevention through abstinence-only education, but since quit or die isn't a very catchy or compassionate-sounding message, these groups rely on other arguments instead. Dangers to children and unknown long-term health effects are historically the most common arguments. I'll need entirely separate videos to address those. However, their most recent tactic has been conflating lung injuries and deaths linked to black market cannabis products with commercially available nicotine vaping products, resulting in panic and irrational statewide bans on all vapor products. There is a genuine concern, even at the FDA, that such sudden removal of vapor products from the market will result in many vapors going back to smoking. Why would health groups want people to smoke again? While the purported goal of these tobacco control groups is to eliminate smoking, they've also made that task impossible by deliberately orchestrating and persuading state governments to rely on tobacco money as a source of state revenue. The simple truth is that if smoking were eradicated, tobacco control groups would be out of a job. It's in their best interest to combat smoking, but not too well. Enough to show that they're worthy of money, but not enough to become obsolete. And if smoking rates start dipping dangerously low and money starts drying up, what better way to ramp up support than to identify another target that poses an epidemic to children, like vaping? All the better if that new target might also be the cause of declining smoking rates. Because politicians are acutely aware of the revenue they're losing from declining cigarette sales, they are more likely to trust tobacco control groups at their word and enact bans and restrictions on vapor products. Legislators seem to incorrectly believe that people who smoke already have enough cessation options, and they should be able to quit if they just try hard enough. Countries like England, who take an approach centered around empathy and harm reduction, choose a different path, promoting and encouraging their citizens to use vapor products. In the US, powerful people believe that people who smoke, who don't quit, are doomed to die, and it's okay for the government to make money off them before they go. After all, it was their choice, right?
So how'd that go, guys? I'm curious to what everybody... I literally thought of that out of the fucking stick of my ass. So let's see.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Poonsauce has a stick in his ass.
I tried it. And it looks like it worked. Hopefully it did.
Nope.
So what is going on, everybody?
You ended the stream.
Would you look at that? So welcome again to another episode.
No, stop. You ended the stream.
No,
the stream. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. I thought I just saw the stream end. I was like, wait a minute. No. Slow down.
We're here.
All right. I thought I just saw a glitch going up above me. I was like, oh, shit. No.
Okay. Sean almost derailed me for a second. But
well, hey, I'm glad that wasn't a dangle clack, because I was like, whoa, let's not get halfway through a show and then realize that we weren't broadcasting.
So I just thought of doing that out of the stick of my ass, and it worked. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What's in the News. We are your hosts today. I am Poonsauce McNasty, and over there it's Mr. Sean Typhon, the Angry Hippie. Welcome to another fantastic, well, kind of get possible raginess to it. Who knows? Hold on. Let me get everything moved back over to the proper screen so I'm not confuzzled. So, what's up, guys? I'm actually happy that worked. Holy crap. Now I can use that in other things. So that'd be cool.
So, yeah, I mean, everyone's saying that, Danielle just crushed it with that.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Danielle because, first of all, the first two videos she did were fantastic. Absolutely amazing. I wouldn't pick anybody else to represent this industry in the way that she does through social media and through YouTube videos. She's one of the people I would trust out more than anybody because she makes sure all of her facts are there and on the table. And that was another proof of it. So I want to give a huge shout out to Danielle Jones. Fantastic job. Fan-fucking-tastic job.
Absolutely, guys.
We're all proud of you for doing
it.
And it's
everybody go share that video over and over and over.
We're gonna make this video go viral.
Yes.
This will go viral. This
It's time for all the bots to share that video clip, right? Don't you think?
We need to be sending this video to people who don't smoke, people who don't vape. We need to inform the majority of this country that think what we're doing is exactly what people think on that video. And we can possibly open so many people's eyes with that. So go share that video around, guys. We need the more people hearing this, the better. And then they can possibly get that to the other two videos of what's actually going on. We might open people's eyes. So make sure you share that video no matter where you go, because this needs to spread to the masses. So again, huge shout out to Danielle Jones. You were amazing. You were awesome. Keep making awesome videos. Keep putting out this is the kind of content that I love on YouTube. I like vape reviews. I like looking at and vlogs and all that stuff, other live shows. But that's the kind of video that this is the stuff that I would go out of my way to make sure people are informed of and make sure that people watch this video. So again, guys, share it like it's fucking wildfire. So on that note, why don't we get into what today is going to be. We have a couple different topics for you. We have a little bit of a one that happened in mass, and then we have something that we really want to touch on a little bit because this could impact all of us, especially people who purchase online, which is, I can say, is probably a good majority of all of us. So on that note, Sean, what are you vaping on, man?
Well, let's see. First and foremost, I got Blotto and the Vapor Gen. Let's fix the focus a little bit. There we go. Blotto, Vapor Gen, great combo. I heard my friend out in the chat there, Miss Connie Fellows, just pulled this combination together for herself, and I hear she's liking it just as much as I do. I'm happy to hear that because, guys, it's fantastic. Naked's Brain Freeze, good menthol right there. Something I enjoy. Sometimes I just need a good blast of menthol, and it does it for me. Next up, look at that. That Just Right Edition Knurled MDX 3-in-1 with the odium and stainless steel on top. Looking extra mean. I can't believe how good it looks. Beantown Reserve. Soaked banana inside that. This is barrel aged in an old bourbon.
Goodness, probably.
Yeah, old bourbon barrel. And it's a banana delish. It's been aged in a bourbon barrel, so it's crazy good. Look at that. Got another odium sitting on top of a unicorn vert mod this time. Going all murdered out on that setup this time around. And I got Syntax from Prohibition inside. That peanut butter custard is solid. And then I always got the mouth to lung setup kicking around, Tesla Wii, Amit MTL, RTA. Fantastic little setup there. It goes forever on a single battery. And that Prickly Pear, Watermelon Kiwi, Light Menthol, Cactus Chiller by Inky's Up E-Liquid. That's what I'm doing. What's you doing?
Let's see. I got a few things. First up, I got my Cyclone Mods Evo with the gear. On inside of there, I got a little baby bottle of some squeezed grapefruit.
Oh, the itty bitty.
A little baby bottle. I know I got like a sample pack of it, and it's just been sitting around, so I was like, I'll vape it. And then next, I got Keen and the Blotto, like the two live together, pretty much. And inside of there, I got some Silverback Lola. Delicious, delicious banana. Strawberry. Yeah, that's what I meant. Strawberry banana, whatever. I don't care. And then finally got her polished up and good to go. So she's looking extra pretty. And I found the drip tip that matches with it, so I'm extra happy about that. I got Tormund, my Aspen Modco, with the Recoil Rebel. Of course, macaron tip from Miss Jess Marie, DHD herself. And then inside of there, I got some Sad Boy Blueberry Jam Cookie. Amazing stuff. This is fantastic. It's really sweet. There's something about a blueberry jam vape that just tickles the right fancy for me. I don't know what it is, but it just works to the point where it's like I can't have enough of it in my mouth hole.
I hear you. I was just talking about blueberry vapes over on the Lethal Vapes channel, over on the Vapor Lounge with Lethal and Frank Wolf, our fellow stooge. And I was actually talking about Klowne Vapes and his Mr. J's Vape Solutions and the Blueberry Churro. That Blue Sin, man, that his blueberry
I have a bottle of it in the drawer.
Perfect. You know, it's funny because I just pulled out my bottle of Blue Sin a little while back, and my wife was looking for something to vape, and I was like, here, this will be perfect over what the bottle she had just killed. I'm like, that'll cover it right up, and you'll be like smooth sailing.
I've had that thing steeping since, I'm trying to remember, did I get it at MVE? I don't know, but
oh man,
it's gonna be like golden perfection right now, and I can't wait to get to it.
That's how my bottle is. It's got over a year steep on it at this point, and it's so amazing because I vaped about half of it when I first got it, and it was fantastic then. But trying it again today after all that steep time, that blueberry is in your face. It's crazy.
I tried it when I first got it, and I was like, this is great. But then I thought to myself, what would this be like if it was before NVE, clown. What would it be like if I let that thing sit in a dark place and just let the flavors just go nuts?
Exactly.
And that's what I'm doing right now. So,
dude, the blueberry is like way up front with that steep time, and then the cinnamon just kind of comes in as like a nice elbow drop off the top rope to your taste buds.
Elbow
pretty
drop
awesome.
Off the top rope.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You know, like it's that first you get knocked down by that blueberry and the elbow drop off the top with that churro flavor. You're gonna be happy.
So on that note, guys, that's what we're vaping on, and I want to go into our little topic we're going to talk about right now. It's not going to be what the main thing we're going to talk about, but we got
a couple of little topics, actually. Because I kind of want to, before we get into mass, I kind of want to get into that first one, because that shit's wild. By now, people had to have heard of it. It's been clogging up my Google News feed all day. Juul accused of shipping over a million contaminated pods. Holy crap!
And of course, this happens right after the CEO stands down too.
Mm-hmm. And it also is interesting that it happens amid all of this tumultuous times in the political realm of federal flavor bans and vape bans and all that. But yeah, so the former CEO of Juul, if you guys don't know, is alleging that they had uncovered tainted product and that they were still instructed to continue to ship those products out. And there's a quote saying that half of our customers are drunk and vaping like mofos anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Did they say what it was contaminated with?
I have read.
I'm curious of what it is.
Yeah, I've read a few articles, and so far nothing has said what it is. It seems like they're all parroting the same BuzzFeed news story. But Yeah, I saw it hashtag set up in the shop in the chat, and I'm feeling that myself. But yeah, I mean, a few little pieces here from the article from BuzzFeed. Matter of fact, here I'm going to actually pull up the text because we here at What's in the News are trying to really up our game even more, and we want to give you guys the best damn video experiences we can give you. So here we have San Francisco former Juul executives alleging in a lawsuit the fast-growing startup shipped out 1 million contaminated e-cigarette pods earlier this year, but did not tell customers or issue a recall. Lawsuit was filed on Tuesday by Siddhartha Breya, a former senior vice president of global finance who worked at the San Francisco company from May 2018 to March 2019. It goes on to explain a little bit more. What I'd like to find is that direct quote because I want to be able to immediately tie it to the person, and I think it's just unbelievably ludicrous. And bear with me, folks, because I'm trying to scan through this as we talk. Oh, hey, okay, this was actually updated, so now there's a response from Juul added in here somewhere. That's nice.
There's a lot of stuff I'm really curious about with this because...
Here it is. The lawsuit claims that then CEO Kevin Burns shot down the idea, saying that half our customers are drunken vaping like mofos. Who the fuck is going to notice the quality of our pods?
Whoa. Hold on. Back the forklift up here for a second.
Yep. So here it is again, now that it's on the screen for everyone to see. CEO Kevin Burns shot down the idea, saying half our customers are drunken vaping like mofos. Who the fuck is going to notice the quality of our pods? So this is a quote being made in the allegations. It says Mr. Breya became aware of very concerning actions at the company, and he performed his duty to shareholders and to the board by reporting these issues internally. Let's see. In exchange for doing that, he was inappropriately terminated, and this is very concerning, particularly since some of the issues he raised concern matters of public safety. So it's interesting because this whole time that we've been fighting the battle and, arguing that there's all this data that shows that the majority of the lung illnesses come from these black market THC products, and there being constant arguments that no, some of them are strictly an e-cig product. Here we have an example of tainted pods. It's not the time to speculate. I want to, trust me. I want to speculate dramatically about this because, I feel like this is just a setup. I feel like this is just, it's super goddamn convenient that this is happening right now in the midst of everything else that's going on. That being said, if there was ever a time to say fuck Juul, now is absolutely the time. And we're in a weird position now because I read an op-ed article from a former FDA commissioner prior to Gottlieb and the person that he replaced as well. He was from the Bush and Clinton administrations, as I recall. And his understanding of how the PMTA process worked found him saying that he didn't even believe Juul could make it through the PMTA process. Which I found to be very...
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting that somebody with that perspective didn't believe that even Juul would have that ability to make it through that process. Given the current situation now with this news coming to light, Juul's going to definitely have to be separated from our industry somehow. Mm-hmm. Now is the time more than ever that I'm kind of glad that there's that term of juuling versus vaping, because I would love to let that be a distinction at some point, that like what we do is vaping and like
what they do is juuling.
But now it leads to the question, what is the contaminant? And that's something that we need to find out.
That's the key thing that we need to find out, because I'm going to go a little bit tinfoil hatty here and kind of just seeing all the things I've heard from the past and how, like, okay, Juul wasn't originally part of PAX. They were one company at one point.
Yep.
So what does PAX make? They make dryer vaporizers, or vaporizing for wax and all the different concentrates. So how we've seen kind of people like that have done shady things within our industry, I can see possibly people doing shady things within the cannabis industry.
Oh, absolutely. So now here's an interesting statement to that, though.
Hold on a sec. But so the way I look at it is, okay, I'm wondering if that CEO that's made those comments, was he still the CEO when they were owned by PAX, and was he partners with PAX and everything, and he was one of the people that decided to leave with Juul and pretty much become their own entity, and maybe he had something to do with bootleg THC cartridges, or had his foot in the door with something like that in the cannabis industry, to where he brought what he was doing in that industry into the vape industry, or the Juul industry that he was supposedly that supposedly makes up 70% of the vaping market, and kind of used those same shortcuts and the same ingredients that they're adding to it to spend less money and do that. And that's where these millions of contaminated cartridges came from.
So here's the only problem with that theory. The PAX distillate cartridge, which would be the equivalent of what people are using and getting sick from currently, as we know it, is strictly controlled. You cannot get those pods unless they're coming out of a dispensary that has the proper verifications and testing. So I don't believe that would be a situation that would be at play. What I'm wondering is there are some studies right now that are showing that bad soldering material, and I believe we spoke about this a little bit last week and probably or the week before, but bad soldering materials inside coils could be a major part of what's causing all of these problems for people. And that, to me, could be a very valid way that these pods are contaminated. If you can imagine that, you run out of the proper soldering materials to, get those leads in place inside of the little pod, and you have to switch gears and use a different product, and that now is a lower quality product, that could definitely present a contamination problem. Another question and speculation that I've read about, and it bears questioning, is expired nicotine.
See, that's not something you mess around with, especially in the high percentage that Juul uses.
Right. Expired nicotine could be the problem. Expired flavorants. Flavorants that have, soured or something from improper storage. These are things that very well could have been, something that is involved. It's interesting. It's something that we need to continue to keep an eye on, and we intend to, because
we didn't inform people that are buying these things.
Well, the tinfoil hat comes on and says, this sounds like a setup, it smells like a setup, it's probably a setup. But then the other side of you comes out and says, if there is a legitimate threat to public safety because this kind of behavior is happening, we need to do everything we can to inform the public so that they can be safe.
I mean, million cartridges. That's not just one batch. That's not a small little batch that they sent out and be like, oh crap, this was bugged. No, this is a million cartridges.
Yeah, it's a million
spread around the country, world, no matter where it was. This stuff's getting out there, and this could potentially harm somebody. If we find out what's in this material, or the material that's causing this, then we need to figure out what we do to make sure people are informed, and then we need to keep making sure that we let as many people as we know that use a Juul, that this is happening, because we're looking out for their greater good and their health. I mean, you don't want, like, when you're a friend who uses the THC cartridges, I'm damned you've probably told them about what the hell's going on with these black market THC cartridges. I've told so many people that I know. A lot of those
people knew before the fucking vape community did. That the cannabis, like the hippies, the cannabis community knew. It was crazy. That was like that before news started breaking in the vape industry, and I'm like, there's gotta be something going on in cannabis here. I started looking into it, and already cannabis blogs, respected organizations in the cannabis community, namely Leafly, they were all doing a ton of investigation work already and getting to the bottom of a lot of problems that were going on. It's something that I said kind of anecdotally at one point, but it's true, although it's kind of funny. It's pretty fucked up that a bunch of potheads were able to figure it out well before doctorate fucking educated doctors and shit were able to figure this stuff out. It says a lot. But let's move on from that. Massachusetts, as we've been keeping you guys abreast of everything, its ups and downs, had its latest pitfall today as the Court of Appeals judge has upheld the ban permanently at this rate and has denied the VTA's motion for a show of cause hearing. The show of cause hearing would be to have the state demonstrate that they in fact did not violate the state constitution and break laws that are pertaining to this action. So as it stands, Massachusetts has a 3-month ban because there was a revision put in place at the beginning of the week. And so it ends in December instead of January. It's still damaging to every business. The impact statement given to the media and to the elected officials was in $7 to $8 million impact for those 3 months of lost revenue. $7 to $8 million lost in this state.
And that's a lot of money you can be spending to pay off those tobacco bonds, the MSA bonds.
Well, they don't fully explain what that number is, so we don't know how much of that is the cannabis versus the nicotine products.
Well, I'm just looking at it all as a whole.
$7 to $8 million that should have been made by people to feed their families, to pay their bills, to do all of the things that they're supposed to do. Everything you buy has taxes on it in some way. So when you pay your utilities, there are taxes included in those fees. When you buy a pair of shoes, you're paying sales tax in this state. When you buy your groceries, well, you may not get taxed on that food, but there's a lot of other shit. The gasoline you pay as gas taxes, etc. And none of that is getting recouped by the state when these people have no income anymore, when you literally rip the floor out from underneath them. It's excruciatingly difficult when some of these people choose to fight and they have to shift gears. Some folks have done some clever things to shift gears and recoup from all of this. Some folks are, completely rebranding and not being a vape shop anymore. They're turning into a gift shop or a head shop or what have you in order to continue to make ends meet and hope that on the other side of the vape ban, they can put the vape products out for a little while longer. But meanwhile, there's also a flavor ban that's working its way through the House as we speak in our state. So before the full-on vape ban is over, that could happen. So it's an ugly uphill battle here on the East Coast, and if you're watching from Massachusetts, guys, keep fighting. Keep fucking phone calls, letters, emails, walking up to the door, knocking on them, and said, "Hey, we hungry. We want to talk. Can we have a chat? 15 minutes of your time. I'll sleep on the floor outside your office until you have time. Like whatever it's going to take. Got to make the voices heard. Got to take on that democratic role and get involved wherever you are. Because if it's not happening in your state now, it's coming down the pipeline. It's coming at you federally. It's coming at you state by state, county by county, town by town. So stay vigilant and stay active. And that leads us...
Yeah, and with, like, how it's saying Massachusetts has a full-on vape ban, this kind of leads us into what our main topic is to talk about tonight is, since a full-on vape ban, that means that all the shops can't sell vapor products, but also consumers can't purchase online and have it shipped to their state. I'm really curious how they're going to enforce that, but there's also something now that has been brought to light that could screw over a lot more people than just Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pull it up here really quick.
So for those who don't know, there is a House bill that has been making progress known as H.R. 3942. That's H.R. 3942. And I'm going to actually pull the text up, and we're going to go back to the same screen again. So let's hit this button, and there you go. We actually have the bill here as it's written. This is the actual text of the bill, H.R. 3942, from Congress.gov. And yeah, as you can see right here, one of my favorite laughy points here. This act may be cited as the Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act.
See, that's what pisses me off. I'm getting so sick and fucking tired of these government officials using children as a fucking shield. Or using them as an excuse to make legislation. It's
a societal manipulation because you're such a shitbag if you don't want to protect the kids.
It's because, like, the moment they put this name of this out there, and they have the word kid in it, people, like, automatically, a spark goes on their head. Like, oh my god, what's happening? We have to save the kids, save the kids. Do you know what exactly the fuck is going on here? Like, some of these people are so caught in their own minds to where they don't understand what is actually happening and what these officials are doing with the lives of these kids, really. They're using each and every child as pretty much a shield that's getting hit with them. They're trying to figure out, okay, we want to make this legislation, but we want to name it to where we know it's going to get people's attention and we know it's going to make an impact. And that it's crazy how that can happen with adding one word. And that's the word children.
Well, like I said, man, like, you're an absolute shitbag if you don't want to protect the kids. And I mean, when it's a legit reason to protect children, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody being reckless and putting a child's life in danger, it is my duty as a decent human being to do what's right for the safety of a child. That being said, if you're telling me to protect the kids from the harmless boogeyman of vapor products or my secondhand vapor, I'm going to tell you to eat a fucking dick. It's my body, and I get to choose what I do with it.
Exactly. Like, if I see a kid, I'm walking down the street and I see a kid being bullied by three other people in front of him, I'm damn sure I'm going over there and making sure that kid's okay. I'm making sure those kids are absolutely fucking gone. First of all, they're leaving this kid alone. And I'm making sure the parents of this kid's getting a hold of. And we're making sure this kid gets home. Because coming from somebody who's gotten bullied through growing up, and just like, I understand. I really understand how they would feel and all that stuff. I don't know if this is just totally going off a different tangent, but whatever. It's kind of going on there of, like, correct ways to care about the kids and think about the kids other than just creating legislation that would
absolutely
be impactful for so many other people that are using this industry for the right reason. But if you're still not doing anything to help the kids, and that's the way I look at it, really, it's like you're just putting them in there just to get what you want to pass through. But in the overall picture, you're not really doing anything to help them. You're impacting their parents who chose to create a healthier lifestyle. The parents who wanted to give them their own, they wanted to live long enough to see that kid that they have graduate and not sit there and smoke cigarettes. And they're putting out each legislation out there with the word kid in them, or protecting kids. they're damaging the families more than they can ever know. Just by using the kids as their step back plan, their fallback plan. It's disgusting. I am so tired of seeing it in legislature, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's evil.
It's literally scumbags creating laws, and it's just we can't allow it anymore, guys. We can't. We simply cannot allow this to happen anymore.
So, getting back into the language of what's going on in this bill, because we know we're not really protecting kids with this. What we're seeing here is, in general, the act is entitled "An Act to Assist States in Collecting Sales and Use on Taxes on Cigarettes," approved October 19th, 1949, commonly known as the Jenkins Act. And so what they're doing is they are adding a paragraph in Section 1 by striking "includes roll your own tobacco" and inserting the following: "includes roll your own tobacco," and then in subclause, "as so designated," by striking the period at the end of inserting an "and" electronic nicotine delivery systems, and by redesignating these paragraphs through respectively to define an electronic nicotine delivery system. The term electronic nicotine delivery system means any electronic device that through an aerosol, here we go, I want you guys to be able to see that. So it means an electronic device that through an aerosolized solution delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other substance to the user inhaling from this device. So the first thing that kind of catches my eye when I read this, and I'm going to read it back again, they're defining an electronic nicotine delivery system as any electronic device that through an aerosolized solution, vapor, delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other substance to the user inhaling from the device. So I want you guys to think about that. That literally means that as far as they're concerned, they don't want you vaping zero nic flavor, because
they don't want you vaping at all.
Exactly.
They want to get vaping gone. That's what their goal is with this. They want everything that has to do with the industry when it comes to either different kind of coils or different mods or different atomizers. They want everything gone.
And what's frustrating, because I'm only recognizing it here now as I read this, is let's read this again. Delivers nicotine, flavors, or any other substance to the user inhaling from the device.
They're talking about cannabis
to me too. They want to make sure that they can't vape cannabis products, that you can't vape CBD, which
is a big thing people do.
And then they go on to define a bunch of ludicrous terms and everything, so they can really make sure they have keywords. So you have an e-cigarette and e-hookah, an e-cigar, a vape pen, an advanced refillable personal vaporizer, an electronic pipe, and here we go. Here's where it gets even more irritating. Any component, liquid, part, or accessory of a device described in subparagraph A without regard to whether the component, liquid, part, or accessory is sold separately from the device.
So let me give you guys a little example. This battery that you put inside of a mod is an accessory for it.
That's not true, because we have that's a flashlight battery, sir. That's not made for vaping at all. That's a flashlight battery.
I can see them using this.
They can't ban flashlights, so they can't do that. However,
I don't know. I feel like they can make up something to where using
can't do it.
I don't know.
I have 4 21700 flashlights in my house right now, because every time I order batteries from Lion Wholesale, I get the free gift and they send me another flashlight. But like, in all seriousness, what this can mean obviously is coils. You can't ship coils anymore. Mm-hmm. You can't move wire, cotton. This could and it may be a stretch, but this could, in theory, even be applied to base nicotine. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know for sure.
DIY would be out the window now.
But
that means they're trying to go for something that would target DIY as well.
Speculation would say that is saying that this could even be taken as far as base nicotine, meaning that you won't be able to ship these things through the postal service. So to continue back on with this, it says any component, liquid pod, or accessory device described in the sub-paragraph without regard to whether the component, liquid pod, or accessory is sold separately from the device and does not include a product that is approved by the Food and Drug Administration for sale as a tobacco cessation product or any other therapeutic purpose and is marketed and sold solely for a purpose described in the clause.
Okay, there's one word that kind of touched out on me. Therapeutic.
Right.
How much you want to bet that they would put this law into pass and then the next government official vapor product is going to be a pharmaceutical product?
It is. It's called the Hale or the Haley. I'm not sure how he wants to pronounce it, but Michael Bloomberg has already announced that he's releasing a vape device that he's marketing as a actual cessation tool from the side the side of an NRT. So you're absolutely right. This allows for a product like his to hit the market, while a product that is deemed nicotine or that is deemed tobacco by the FDA, it's deemed that. We don't want it to be that. We want it to be separate from tobacco. The FDA deems this tobacco. This will no longer be allowed. And so it continues to say that it's inserting nicotine after cigarettes in order to make sure that nicotine products are in fact a part of this clause. An effective date of 90 days after the act is actually fully passed. And then it goes on to describe that their expectation is that after the law is passed, that the United States Postal Service will have 120 days for them to draft their regulations as to how they're going to prevent all of this. Here we go. Not later than 120 days after the date of enactment of this act, United States Postal Service shall promulgate regulations to clarify the applicability of the prohibition on mailing of cigarettes under section blah, 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 blah. So what does this mean? Well, this definitely means that if this were to pass, you're looking at a distinct possibility.
Sean, your screen's black.
I know. My camera needed to reset itself real quick. It happens.
Okay.
This is the price I pay for having the fancy camera as my webcam. But what does this mean? It definitely means that the average vapor in a rural area who directly relies on online purchases is screwed. Mm-hmm. They are not going to have an ability to get their products. Now, that being said, there may be some roadblocks that prevent a full wild fucking level of regulation, and it may be something as simple as requirement for signature upon delivery. And if that's where this leads to, that's something I think we've been arguing for a while. Uh-huh. But, if they want to go full tilt, hardcore, balls to the wall on it, it's basically the end of online sale, because nobody's going to be able to purchase anything and legally ship it unless they're going through expensive shipping agencies.
Let's just look at the different shipping options they can use. If they didn't have USPS, you would have DHL, which is very, very expensive. Mm-hmm. UPS, which is, I would say it's fairly priced. It's reasonable it's for some circumstances.
It's still high by comparison, though. I mean, I just placed an order with Lion Wholesale. Whole reason I thought about my silly flashlights. But I just placed an order with them. It cost me $8 to ship my batteries through the U.S. Postal Service. It was going to cost me $10 to ship them through UPS, and it was going to cost me about $12 to do it through FedEx.
Yeah, there's FedEx as well.
And then, yeah, if in certain parts of the area, depending on where you're ordering from, you have DHL. DHL is insanely expensive. I ordered a product from Canada, and it cost me $20 to ship. I literally paid the price of my purchase in shipping, but I had to buy it from Canada. I didn't have a choice because I live in a state that's absolutely an asshole.
I mean, DHL has its good things if you're willing to pay the price, and like they're known for their unusually fast ways of getting the product to you. They're pretty damn quick on getting stuff to you. I'll give them that.
Absolutely.
Like, they know what they're doing with delivery times. Sometimes I can't say that about UPS. Sometimes I can't say that about the U.S. Postal Service. But DHL kind of knows what they're doing by, okay, this guy asked for 2-day delivery. We're getting it to them in 2 days, even if it's in another country. They figure out ways to do it. But it's going to cause all these think about it now, all these manufacturers or juice companies that either ship to wholesalers, ship to shops, or either they're an online distributor to where shops go on online, make their orders, and then they ship it to the shop. So you're going to screw over so many different companies. I mean, this is right when you're going into the companies, especially manufacturers, you're not just affecting a business that is 3 or 4 people. No. These manufacturers have dozens, in the 20s, 30s of people working for the company at times. When it comes to either marketing, shipping, the manufacturing themselves. Look at these wholesalers.
Managers. Yeah, it's crazy.
Look at these wholesalers. Look at wholesalers. Pretty much think of it as a warehouse job. You got pickers, you got packers, you got the people receiving the product. All those things are going to add up over time of how many people you're going to screw up and how much. The president himself keeps on promoting how many jobs he's created, how many jobs in this country he's created, and it just blows my mind that with all these legislations that are coming out, that all these things he's saying are pretty much going to be wiped out the window. Because as many jobs as you're creating, you're taking that much away. So you're literally not making any progress when it comes to the unemployment rate. At a lot of situations, you might actually make it worse than it actually is. Because some of these people, I'm curious now if they try to if this goes through and these people are out of jobs, theoretically, and these people go to apply for another job. Let's just say you have to fill out an application, of course, which is an average thing if you're looking for a job. And a lot of times on applications, what do they ask for? Past work history. The moment you put down the company, or it will say either vape, e-cigarette, liquid. Some of these people that run these big companies that you're trying to apply for will not hire you because of your past work history. So you're going to make it that much more difficult for the people who lost their jobs to get future jobs.
So there's another demon in all of this that people don't fully recognize either, and it was something I had never thought of until it was brought to my attention earlier today. But if you run a business, like let's say a vape shop, and you run your business in a state that has effectively banned vaping, so you can't sell products anymore, and you have to declare that you have shut down that business, the government is going to want their taxes from the business. And if you're not prepared to pay those taxes, they have the ability to freeze your assets. So could you imagine the pain in the ass that also adds when not only do you have no longer have a source of income, but now since you've declared that your business is now closed, that you have to somehow come up with tax payments and you have no access to your money until you do.
Klowne just brought up a pretty interesting tinfoil hat little subject in regards to these legislations, because we all know it has to go through the president as well. All these legislations, all these bills have to go through the president as well. He has to sign off on it. He put in the thought that he could put them on hold until he gets reelected. If he gets reelected. So he can keep the jargon that he's spewing of creating all these jobs, keep that in his mind accurate until he's reelected, and then go out and, like how Klowne says, drop the hammer and pretty much take back everything he did to sway the people into voting for him by saying how many jobs I created, how many people that were unemployed, how much work I've created in this country. That's something that... See, I don't know if he can put it on hold like that, though.
I don't know.
Because I feel like if he doesn't sign off on it, it automatically goes back to either the Senate or Congress, and they have to either revise it or do a revote. So can he constantly do that?
So here's the thing. I know that he's already being pressured right now from over 50 organizations as we speak, different public health organizations, because he's starting to flake a little bit and go back on his word on flavor banning, and considering not including mint and menthol. The problem that he's in is that you've got a very motivated group of voters who have made it very clear that they will vote against you if you decimate an industry. On the other hand, you have a very powerful and motivated group who want you to decimate that industry. And if I really am going to be a betting man right now, my money is on angry soccer moms over vapors. Honestly.
We may have the power of our voices, but those other antis and all the other groups out there.
Here we go. You right? Like, you want some real fucking truth, everybody? You want some real fucking truth? Show of fucking hands. How many people actually voted last year? Huh? I did. How many else did? Right. How many of y'all are registered voters but still didn't go vote? What's your excuse? You know how many people did it? Let's be fucking honest with ourselves. All right? If didn't vote was a fucking option, didn't vote would have won, because over half of the people in our country didn't vote for the last presidency. What we have an issue here is that we have a lot of people in our midst who are motivated on a bunch of different levels, but still aren't going to make it to the polls. But I fucking guarantee you every one of those pissed off soccer moms will be there. Every last one of them, and their phone tree of pissed off other people. That's our problem. We have to motivate those vapors who can't be fucking bothered because, well, man, you know, the polling place is like 40 minutes away, man, and I don't have... Shut the fuck up and vote. There's ways to vote. We have to be the ones who motivate them, because I'm going to be real. I was one of those people at one time. I was one of those people that was a registered voter and didn't think that it mattered. And then you know what? It mattered. And I started getting involved. I started understanding how the whole civic system worked. And we got to motivate the people, because we have a large group of people who I genuinely don't believe are motivated enough to actually vote. And the vote is where we can hurt them the very most. We can send the letter and say that we'll vote them out, but if we don't actually turn up at the poll and do it, then that doesn't actually matter. And that's the problem, is that those angry soccer moms, I promise you, will show up at the polls to vote. We have to do that. We can show up to march, we can show up to rally, we can do all of that. But if we don't turn up at the voter booth, none of that actually matters. And we look like a bunch of idiots. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
And, like, going back to what you said, like, if you would choose who would have a better leeway, would it be angry soccer moms or angry vapors? See, we have the power of our voices. That's what makes us powerful in our own way. That's what we are doing to make all this noise and create these conversations. But these antis and these other organizations that are fighting against us, they're using something else that a lot of us can't compete with, and that's their wallets. these people have the money to hire the right people to do the right things in their own eyes, to where they can make sure any kind of thing that we say pretty much is null and void to legislation, because a lot of these organizations are either funding these legislators to where they're partially a reason why these government officials can go and feed their families. So you really think they're going to go against what these organizations are telling them, when if I go against what they tell me, no more funding for me, and that's less money for me.
You know, like, let's go back to that video we just watched, and the giant circle jerk that's going on, and the fact that, you know, funding gets kicked to this group to get kicked to that group to ensure funding to this group. This is how it works. And knowing that the people involved in those organizations are politically active, and knowing that more often than not, vapors in the younger generation are not politically active. There's our problem.
They're going to use that against us. They're going to take advantage of that, and we're not going to stand a chance. That's just the real fact of it. If we stay as we are now, to where a good majority of vapors, or I would even say the younger community, or millennials, if you want to say, that don't feel like their vote matters, or don't want to go out of their way to go to the voting polls, then they're going to take advantage of that and try to sway the people that are voting, and know that something you're going up against, the people that are supporting that will not go out of their way and make sure that they're going to keep people in office, to where they're going to try to make their message or their way of life, if you want to put it that way, still active and relevant. And that's going to be a big fight against us. That's where, when voting season comes around, that's where we're going to need to make the most impact. I mean, we can yell as much as we want. We can get banned by so many different government officials, or these people that are in these anti-groups on Twitter, as much as we want. None of that's going to matter if we don't show up to the polls. None of that will matter. All the yelling you've done on Twitter, all the shouting that you've done on the streets during these meetings, none of that's going to mean a damn thing if you don't show up to the voting polls.
That's right. That's the message that we're trying to send when we do all of this political action, is that we are politically involved, we are politically motivated, and we are here to make a stand. And none of the posturing means anything if you don't show up and vote.
Yeah, all the screaming you've done, all the typing on Twitter, all the countless hours you that have been on Twitter, learning all this research and learning who you need to inform through the government, it's going to be for nothing. You're going to be wasting your own damn time. And who do you have to blame for that? Look in a damn mirror, and the only person you have to blame for that is yourself. And that's
the thing, is it's a tough lesson to learn, right? That sometimes you're your own worst enemy.
It's tough love. That's what it is.
But that's what it is. Like, I'm glad to admit it, that I didn't stay that active in it. And then I started seeing what was going on in the cannabis world, and the fact that we were making progress, and I started getting involved. And I realized the more I got involved and the more that I was saying, these things as a single issue voter, I had to actually be a fucking voter. The fact that I was just a registered voter didn't actually do enough. And that was the thing. You have to walk the walk as much as you talk the talk. And, excuse me. And that's key. When we say that we're single issue voters, and we say that we're motivated, and we say that, we're fighting for our rights, the way that the system is set up is to do it through the polls. And if we're not being involved in the polls, then all the work gets thrown away. There's so much effort being put into this fight on so many different levels, and we need to motivate people to actually vote. It could be as simple as knowing who your pro-vaping candidates are in your city and your state, and letting people know, hey, these are people who are pro-vaping, blah, blah, blah. But we got to motivate people to actually go vote, because that's how we can make that change that we're trying to make.
And
I
we
can go
can
on a
say
whole
right now,
other rant, but
and we could say right now that we are motivating people because we're getting people loud and everything. But all the things that we're saying right now, that we think all the people that are getting riled up right now and getting pissed off and getting angry and making their voices be heard are going to end up showing up to the polls. That's what we're hoping, but we won't know until that day comes to where we have to drive our asses over to any kind of recreation center or where these polls are taking place, and see those people actually standing behind their words and standing behind the actions they want put through. That's when everything's going to matter, guys. And I kind of want to bring up something a little bit too. With all this negative stuff around, like this proposed online ban, and all how Massachusetts pretty much kept their ban intact. I learned something from work that kind of carries over to this industry a little bit, to where I sell electrical for a living. I sell anything you see in your house, electrical wise. I'm selling that. I'm sitting at a desk selling it to contractors, industrial maintenance guys. And I do have accounts to where I manage accounts, and my boss tries to he puts in our head to where we have to create opportunities for ourselves. This is a word that I want you to have stick in your head, the word opportunity, because you may get turned down by, if you're trying to promote a new product, you're trying to promote something your company's doing, and you might get turned down and turned down and turned down, but you're going to create opportunities for yourself with either other people who you haven't been able to talk to about it, or you're eventually going to get through to them to where they understand that you're passionate about it, and then you're really interested and you want them to take advantage of something that will benefit them in the long run, and kind of use it to where it affects this industry as well. Because think about this, all the stuff negative that is happening, it may be shitty on what's happening from how many people it's impacting, but it's also creating opportunities. It's creating opportunities for the people who haven't spoken up, who haven't decided to advocate until the shit hits the fan. It's giving these people opportunity to make their voices heard and make sure that they're going out of their way and speaking their mind on something they believe in. And it's giving these people opportunities to rise up, giving communities to rise up. This is so, like I say this all the time, this is so much more than vaping. This is just one little small example of, we've seen it happen before. We've seen communities rise up together and create opportunities for themselves to make change. And that's what we need to continue doing with all this stuff that is happening negative. We need to create opportunities to where we can make an impact. All these negative things suck, but they're going to create one big thing for us that could end up being our advantage in the long run. And those are opportunities. And that's all I have to say to that. I think that's a good little point to where we can end it too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, guys, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Kind of had a few topics that we had a really good conversation on, with all the little topics that we talked about today. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Danielle Jones. If you have not gone and watched that video or shared that around, I don't know if Livia or anybody is in chat, may you please post that link to that video again. Make sure to give that page a subscribe. Hit the thumbs up.
There it is.
Share it like wildfire. This needs to be shown everywhere. All three of those videos should be around the same amount of shares and the same amount of views, because each one is that important. Each one ties into the next. So you don't need to just share you don't need to just share the last one. You need to be sharing each and every video that she's come out with. She put countless of fucking hours into making those videos, commentating it, making sure.
Just the research.
The research she does and how she presents it. I have yet to see a professional vape kind of video like that done out there. Hers is literally the most professional one I've ever seen, because it gives you. Because with simple-minded people, I guess you could say, it kind of sucks to say that, but with the pictures and the facts and showing the graphs. People like to see that. It's not somebody just sit in front of a camera like me and Sean do and spewing things that we read. No, you're seeing actual evidence on that screen. So she puts countless hours into making those videos and making sure she fact checks herself 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times even. Making sure every little piece of evidence she comes out with is to the T what is the truth, and making sure she's not leaving anything out. So again, Danielle Jones, you were amazing. You're an awesome person. I'm speechless about how much I am proud of what she does, and I want her to continue to put out these kind of videos because this is what this industry needs. Simple as that. These videos could help save us in the end. So why, instead of making your new meme you saw on Reddit or something viral, this is something that you should go out of your way to make fucking viral. This would be something that we should see on Viceland or BuzzFeed.
I'll drink to that.
This should be on your recommended videos on YouTube.
Yes.
One of the top. Or you're going on YouTube as just a regular dude looking to watch a freaking random video. It should be on the trending page. There's millions of us in this industry. We can easily make that happen.
Yep. I agree. We should do that. So
Hell yeah.
Let's do that. Let's work to make this thing go viral.
How much would you fucking freak out if you just saw trending videos on YouTube and all 3 of them were up there right next to each other as the top things? I would be one of the most proud people I've ever been in this industry.
Yep. Let's try to make this a reality, guys. I think we can do it. There's a motivated group of people here. I think we can make that a reality.
And Sean, do you want to hit it with them like you always do?
You already know. First things first. Thanks everybody for tuning in with us. Be sure to go check out Corey over there on Monday nights on the Vaping with the Ohmies channel. I gotta be honest, with the huge amount of great content that everybody's making on YouTube, all the great friends I have that make content themselves, if there's one show I try to make sure to get every week without fail, it's Vaping with the Ohmies, man. So be sure to go check that out. It's a great panel of fantastic people. If you're not familiar with them, I hope you are. But if you're not, go check it out. I love those guys. Of course, you can check me out over on the Green Room on the Frames Janklin Vapor channel, Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do some wild stuff over there. Don't forget to check out Poonsauce's other videos. Those What's Your Stories, man, because those What's Your Stories are killing it.
Just give you guys a little update. There will not be one this weekend because I'm making a little road trip. Going to visit the Canadian buddies and going over to Michigan. And
exciting.
Spending the day with Mr. Danager Mansfield over at Independent Vapor Company. So there will be no video this weekend. So, and then, next time you'll see me on YouTube will be me and Sean back here again next week for another episode.
So beyond all that, guys, you know what I'm going to tell you, right? I'm super proud of everybody for all the hard work you keep doing. So keep doing it. Keep giving those bastards hell. Don't let those bastards get you down. Just remember, be cool. Don't be a dick. That's the golden rule, isn't it? And above all else, let's keep fighting so we can keep it cloudy.
Again, guys, thank you again for tuning in. I want to thank you everybody in chat right now. You guys are awesome. I know each and every one of you are going out of your way to make sure that your voice is heard. And I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate every single one of you who hit that like button. I've sit here through the entire almost hour and 15-minute long stream that me and Sean do almost every week. You guys are the reasons we do this. And we will continue to do this.
The real MVPs.
Yeah, you guys are the real reasons why we do this. We want to keep people informed, and we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way to where we can make other people understand. And that's where we're going to leave you at this week. Again, make sure to tune in next week for another episode of What's in the News with me, Poonsauce McNasty, and this guy over there, Sean Typhon, the Angry Hippie. We will see you all next week.
Keep on, friends!
Can't see the screen.